Hello and welcome to another show with KB Michelle Green. KB standing for Kingdom Builders, the enterprise for Michelle Green at Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, Kingdom Builders Business University, and Kingdom Builders Community Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit if you'd like to provide a contribution. Anywho, I am coming to you to let you know that I just had some thoughts. So I was watching this show called How to Get Rich, and in the show of How to Get Rich, there is a guy who pretty much does the same thing that I do, but in a sense, I actually do more than what he does, I would say, because I'm providing financial information as a financial advisor on a different level. And some of the things that he said, I don't actually agree with. However, anyway, I just wanted to establish that, I just saw so much of a pattern, and I've noticed this over the years. Many of us really want wealth. Many of us want to really excel. We want to go to the next level. We want to achieve, the things that our family members have never achieved before, or our friends. We want to be the cream of the crop. We want to be above everybody else. We want this lavish lifestyle. We want to leave generational wealth. We want the best. But the problem is that, I was thinking about my journey in life, and I'm not saying that I've arrived there, because I don't believe that there is a place that I will ever arrive to. I do believe that we grow from stage to stage, from step to step, and there's always another tier for us to grow to. I do believe that the Word of God says that we grow from glory to glory. So when it comes to arriving there, I don't think and believe that there is a place that is called there that we will ever reach. I think that there is always room for improvement, and that we can always expand and grow and allow our minds to increase in information, understanding, and application. So anyway, back to the show, back to my idea, my thought process, just thinking about how did I go from being basically in poverty to a degree of being in the projects, having my second child and living in the projects for like 2 or 3 years. And then how did I go from that to where I am now, over 6-figure earner, on my way to a 7-figure earner? How did I do that? I didn't do it, number one, by myself. So I would say to someone who may be interested in understanding, like, how do they go to the next tier? How do they come from 4 figures to 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures? Even though I haven't reached the 7 figures yet, but I'm already visualizing myself there. But anywho, the thing is, how did I graduate from stage to stage? So my advice to someone who is trying to get there, my advice is that, number one, you have to understand that you don't go by yourself. Number one, your number one don't go by yourself person is higher power. That is Jesus Christ. In my opinion, hands down, I don't care how you try to get around it. We're living in 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, and we are living in a time period that is past the time of Christ's death. So you can't get outside of the realm of Jesus. And that is number one of who I believe that has to be with you, and you have to be with him. Okay, so that's number one. So as I analyzed my life previously, I realized that I've always had some type of relationship with God. Even from the age of 12 years old, my mother gave me my first diary for my birthday. And in that diary, the first thing that I knew to do was talk to God, was talk and have a conversation with God. So you have to go with your higher power. You have to go with Jesus. Maybe you have a different religious background belief, but we can talk about that in another session. But as far as having someone to go with, you can't do business by yourself. And that is something that I realized about my life that totally has always been there. and that is God. I have always surrendered to God. I have always acknowledged God. I have always been to a point where I made sure that some kind of way he got some credit. You know what I'm saying? So I give reverence to God, number one. Number two, the way that I got there or got to where I am now and on my way to where I'm going is that I understood that I had to have a good work ethic. I was raised on a farm, and being raised on the farm, people work really hard and they work all the time. In other words, they become workaholics. It's very hard for you to be raised on a farm of my grandparents. They had their own farm. They had, people who worked for them on the farm, and they had a lot of land and whatnot. And so it's very hard for you to be in that kind of environment with my grandparents having like 7 kids, and then I don't know how many grandchildren and great-grandchildren coming through over the years. But the thing is that we never lack food. We always had food because we grew the food on the actual soil of the land that we were on. So if you were raised on a farm, or if you know any farmers, maybe your family's from like a country area, if they do any planting and whatnot, raising animals and stuff so that your family can be fed, you know that you have to put in the hard work every single day and night. You're either picking or planting, you're reaping the harvest of what you planted, you're processing the animals, or whatever you have on that land. So it's always something to do. It's never a time where someone can just sit and do nothing. And that is the kind of environment that I was brought up in. And I'm so grateful for that, because that has been the second thing that has always been a part of my life to help me to keep going. So I just want to touch on this subject just a little bit, because I'm just seeing so many patterns of people who feel like that they want to receive this wealth and they want to go to that tier. They want to be a 6-figure, a 7-figure, even an 8-figure earner. They want to be the one that never worries about money again. But the problem is, what's your work ethic? What is your work ethic like? Do you give up easily? Do you feel like that you don't have to continue to reach an end goal? Do you even have an end goal in mind? Like, are you even thinking about like how long it literally takes for you to achieve this thing? And are you consistently going to follow through every single day and understand in your planning of every day what it's going to take for you to reach there? That is really a big thing. I'm just realizing, and noticing, especially over the years, when I talk to people, like, people give up quickly. People quit often. And that seems to be like the trend now. But I just want to say that if you're really serious about your life and changing it, you cannot change it if you don't have those two things. You have to have a good work ethic. You have to be willing to get up when nobody else is getting up. You have to be willing to go forward when nobody else wants to go forward, even with you, other than God, and you have to be willing to make sacrifices. You can't just decide that just because life gets hard that you're going to quit. There's nothing else that you're going to do, that you're going to just throw in the towel and you don't have to worry about anything else. You have to keep going. That is a part of the process. And I think that my third thing is, I'm going to always probably talk in 3s, maybe 5s, maybe 10s, but definitely for sure 3s. So my third thing to take away from, just watching that show and just looking at people and how they do life and whatnot is that you got to have a goal in mind. You have to have an end goal. And when I say end goal, I'm not just talking about you setting a goal because you're thinking about, okay, well, this is what I want to do. No, I'm talking about go all the way to the end as though your life is over or about to end, and then start writing. Think about what kind of things did you want people to say about you when you leave this earth. And oh, by the way, everybody is given 120 years, thus saith the Lord. So if you got 120 years, does your body look like it's gonna last to 120 years? Are you eating right? Are you drinking right? Are you sleeping right? Are you exercising right? Is your mental stability right? How is your communication with others? How do you handle problems? What's the situation in your covenant relationship if you have one? What's the situation in your other relationships, like friendships and any other kind of outside relationship? Maybe people you collaborate with, people you work with. What are those relationships like? What is your territory like? What is the space that you live in? What is that like? Have you thought about that long term? Lasting. Like if you buy a house, for example, and this is a big mistake in the credit repair business, we see this all the time. People want a house, they want to buy a home, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I do encourage that if you're in that right position. But the thing is, if you buy a home, have you thought about the lifetime of a home? If you live for 120 years, as you get older, as you turn 60 and 70 and 80 and 90 years old and 100 years old, what's going to happen to the house? Are you preparing for the house every 10 years? Are you thinking about what it's going to take in order for the home to last? Are you taking care of your yard? Are you taking care of your roof every 15, 20 years? Are you taking care of the actual structure, the bones of the home? Are you taking care of the windows and the doors? That is a part of the end life cycle. And so whenever you think about accruing wealth, leaving legacies, we have to understand maintenance. We have to understand how we can not just purchase something, but how we can purchase it and maintain that thing all the way to the end of its life cycle, including our actual life. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening in. Until next time, stay strong. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.